Hey, what's up, guys? How are you? Welcome back. It's me, Hebot. Today I'm going to do a quick video talking about my thoughts on the Suicide Squad and the hypocrisy of, people in the community, of films, games, the hypocrisy of Warner Brothers and Walter Hamada over there at Warner Media. And, I just want to give my thoughts on it because it's a very frustrating thing to see and frustrating thing to be part of when you're around it day in, day out. So, everybody's going crazy over the Suicide Squad, saying it's fantastic, it's this, it's that. And to be quite honest, I think the movie is very overrated. It's not as good as people are making it out to be. Does it have good moments in the movie that are fun and intriguing? Yes. Best part of the movie is the acting for a lot of characters that were kind of out of nowhere, surprising, like Peacemaker, which was obviously John Cena's character. I thought he did a very good job. He was funny. It was an interesting character, and he played the role. I also like the character of Bloodsport. I believe is his name, by Aldris Iba. But in another sense, it just felt like they substituted him for Will Smith's character. Margot Robbie was good in the movie, like she's been in every other movie as Harley. But this movie, she was, I feel, put more to the side. There wasn't enough of her. Then they had some pivotal characters that are very important that really haven't been fleshed out enough. And like, Boomerang, for example, and other ones that were just introduced, and like Jackknife, to just simply kill them off, which I did not like, because it kind of felt like they were trying, like James Gunn was erasing the idea of David Ayer's Suicide Squad, which is why I say it's really hypocritical, because this movie is being praised even though it has too much comedy on it. It has too many things that just feel like they don't fit, because it's a serious tone with violence, and then not only does it have the jokes that sometimes feel like they don't hit, but it has scenery with some of the jokes and some of the things that play out that just feel forced, and they don't feel like they make sense in a real live emotion picture. If you do it in something like an anime or in an animation or even perhaps in a game, you can get away with it. But in a real life interpretation of a movie based on a comic book, it just doesn't blend well. It doesn't really work. And yet everybody's okay with it, And that's where I want to call the hypocrisy. Because also, for example, I really enjoyed King Shark, that was voiced over by Stallone. Even though he's supposed to be very vicious, very evil, maniacal, but they made him more like a big baby that's kind of doesn't know where he is. When sharks are not really stupid, mammals, or what they call them, right? They're really smart, and people try to make them out to be like they're dumb when they're not. So, I really thoroughly enjoyed Polka Dot Man. That actor, ever since I've seen him in Batman's, Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins, where he played one of the roles where he was, I think it was in The Dark Knight, where he worked as a henchman to trick them with, Heath Ledger's Joker. That character, he's played a lot of roles, and I forget his name off the top of my head, but he's a very good actor. And I would like to see him one day do more bigger, important roles, because, and I think this is a stepping stone there with Polka Dot Man, as far as a comic book character that is really not well known, but he played him very well. It was silly, the idea of what he is, but he really is 100% authentic to what he is in the comic book, in DC, and in that universe. So in that sense, I thought it was great. And of course, James Gunn knows how to, film his movies. The film was filmed very well done with nice wide shots, nice, color palettes. I feel like it was too high in contrast, being that it had such a dark tone. Sometimes you couldn't really appreciate certain shots that were too bright, too colorful. I felt like watching a cartoon. I also didn't like the tone of the music. I thought the music was very weak, almost non-existent. And I feel like, I've always said it before in the past, that music sets the tone very well and in a lot of ways for motion pictures. It creates the mood, it creates hype. Big example when you watch movies like King Arthur by Anton Fuqua, or Gladiators, Ridley Scott with Russell Crowe, or even Tron, Legacy with Daft Punk's soundtrack in that movie. I feel soundtracks create a lot of tone and excitement, scene for scene, with motion pictures. Oblivion, Interstellar, just a plethora of movies that have phenomenal soundtracks that were a character within themselves. And I thought the soundtrack of this movie was very weak. So what the hypocrisy I'm seeing, though, is that I see all these people in the video game media and obviously in the movie media, praising and all this stuff, when they had a problem with David Ayer and his version of the movie, right? Because they were saying that WB has said the movie's too dark. The movie tone is too dark. It's too serious. It's unacceptable. We can't bring this out because, of course, Walter Hamada is just chasing. Is just chasing the Marvel hype. He wants to do what Marvel did in 10, 12 years that took 20 movies overnight with just 5 or 6 movies that they've done so far, right? And then the inconsistency of continuity with the Justice League, which this Suicide Squad is still part of that continuity, because David Ayer's version, even though the extended version on DVD and the theatrical cut is still not his definitive version, which he said it very clearly, it is from that universe of Justice League or the Zack Snyderverse, because that's why you saw Batman trying to capture Will Smith's character, which was Bullseye, right? In that movie, I believe that's his name. And he had the confrontation on the car with Joker, right? So it is that universe. The same way Shazam, when they talk about the incident between Batman versus Superman in the newspaper, the kids were talking about it. It's still that universe. Same thing with Aquaman and Wonder Woman. They acknowledge all those things that happened in the Justice League, in Batman v Superman, Man of Steel. It's still that universe. With this version, it feels like they try to do an off thing and take it away and erase everything that David Ayer tried to build with those characters, even though Margot Robbie's there, even though Viola, the actress Viola, I forget her character, she's absolutely stunning, amazing. That woman can act her ass off. She is phenomenal. From Hidden Figures, from the movie she did with Denzel, Picket Fences, I think it was called. She's just an amazing actress. She can play any role and just kill it. Loved her too. That was another returning character. And that's the same world because she's the same character doing the same thing. Then the story was very soft written too. Like, it wasn't really nothing compelling. Although I liked that he went all in and used Starfish, which I thought was great because it's a very obscure villain, something that you probably would have never seen unless you saw something like Guardians of the Galaxy or something like that, where it makes sense even though they're part of different, two different mediums of comics. One is Marvel, one is DC, obviously, but just to give you an idea of why it makes sense and it's cool that he did it. Like that I liked. But the story wasn't really, I felt it was very weak. It wasn't really fleshed out the way it should have been. But the hypocrisy is like, you see all these people loving James Gunn, loving Suicide Squad. When it comes from the movie side, it's basically because of the success he had with Guardians, right? Because they want him to be part of DC, because they want to bring over that Marvel style of movies, right? That Marvel style of movies to, DC. They don't want DC to keep doing what they're doing, because when Zack Snyder's first came out on HBO Max, the first thing you were hearing people saying is, oh, the movie's too dark. It has too much violence. When compared to this Suicide Squad, it's nowhere near as close as violent or offensive. This Suicide Squad has full frontal penital, right, penis showing in the movie. For Christ's sakes, even John Cena almost showed his slong and his whitey tighties, right? Which we're all adults. It's made for adults. It's fine. But the point is, if it's there, right, in this movie, how are you going to say the Zack Snyder movie was too violent when the violence he created was among gods and these worldly creatures that have super duper powers and super powerful, strengths that is beyond, explanation. You see what I'm saying? The people in the media are criticizing it's too long or it's too violent. But this movie, they're sucking on it, right? Like a piece of lollipop, sucking on it. Because all they want is, when it comes to the movie side, right, is the Marvel world and style and aesthetic in the DC world. When DC and Marvel are their own identity, and they should stay that way with their own identity. They shouldn't be imitating or copying each other, okay? Because that's why DC has always worked for DC in the comic realm, and then Marvel for the Marvel world in their realm. And shout outs to my brother E-Rock. He did a really good review, very good review. I enjoyed his review thoroughly, even though I didn't agree with some of the things he said. But again, that's his opinion, and he has every right to feel how he feels about the movie. He enjoyed it for what it was, and I like it. But I also told him I would like to have a conversation with him and sit down and explain to him why it feels hypocritical. Because that was the whole reason why, or reasoning why the David Ayer cut never came out. Because of the fact that David Ayer's version was too gritty, like a Batman movie, too dark tone. Yet this movie, like I said, has full frontal with men. Really? You can't do that. That's hypocrisy at its highest. Even though David Ayer's version is more realistic and toned down without the obscurity and the weirdness of James Gunn. Because they're two different style of directors. But David Ayer, we must not forget, is a winning director when the Oscars actually meant something. Okay? He did movies like And the Watch and movies like Training Day. I can't think of other ones, but I know he's done a lot of phenomenal, high-quality movies, critically acclaimed. Maybe not box office success at the box office, but high-quality movie. And to be honest, as it stands right now, at this very moment, the numbers for Suicide Squad. Yeah, guys. So like I was saying, that to be honest, the numbers in the box office between the new Suicide Squad and the David Ayer one are almost the same. You see what I'm saying? But yet they acted as if it wasn't a success, even though the Ayer version was supposed to be a failure, like really bad, and there was no HBO Max to view it on. It was just the movies, right? So that's another kind of hypocritical thing. And then I see all these gaming people too, But before I jump to the gaming thing too, like the movie people that like James Gunn didn't even like the stuff he'd done before in the past. Like movies like Slither, for example, that he's done. That was an excellent horror movie. And I haven't really followed him like that. He was considered like a low-key independent developer and never really cared about his stuff. But then as soon as he did the Marvel stuff, all of a sudden everybody want to be a James Gunn fan. But then when they were trying to cancel him because he was doing parties, playing it off like he was a priest and he had altar boys being the people that were his friends, they called him a weirdo. Oh, look, he's crazy. He's a weirdo. And so they forgave them, and Marvel brought him back, and then DC hired him. And I like James Gunn. I've been following him forever. And then you got the people now in the video game space. And like I was going to say, David Ayer also did movies like, The Tax Collector. He did movies like Fury with what's his name? With Brad Pitt. He did the one with Will Smith, Bright, on they did Training Day. He did Sabotage with Arnold. I think it was Street Kings with Mark Wahlberg. Harsh Times with Christian Bale. He's done a lot of good movies. Like really good movies. And James Gunn don't even have that type of portfolio. You see what I'm saying? You see? And yet they gave him an opportunity to do what he wanted to do as opposed to David Ayer. Right? That's why I said they need to bring out his movie and release it on HBO Max. It's already made. Whatever it needs, not going to cost nearly as much as what they did with Justice League. And they saw how the numbers were so good that they hit them because they didn't want to show that they were wrong to the public and that they were wrong the entire time. Because that's basically what happened. They were wrong. So they didn't want to be proven wrong and didn't give out the correct numbers. Even though the numbers were there. It was the highest streaming movie of all time, and they got the most subscribers when the movie came out or was announced at that moment, which proved that that's what people wanted. Okay, and they delayed the release for the DVD in 4K here in the Americas, which comes out next month, and it's gonna sell out because it's already sold out on eBay and Amazon rather. And my son wants to pick it up, so people want it. Okay, sold out in the UK. It did well in all the other countries that they streamed. Okay, so we know that's a fallacy. People want the Snyderverse more than anything, even though there's room for things like the Joker movie, things like the upcoming one with Robert Pattinson. Fine, but the Snyderverse, people want it. Okay, and whoever says they don't, they're just in denial. It's not true. So, getting back to the thing with the people in the gaming world, all these people want to try to act like they're James Gunn's fans, sucking. I'm talking about the movie, talking about this, talking about that, when they never followed him in none of his games. And the man's been involved in several games. He was involved completely. It was his story and his game he produced, I believe, and directed in Lollipop Chainsaw, which is one of the most underrated Xbox 360 games, which was unique and it was fun. The girl was the main protagonist. She carried the head of her boyfriend because it was talking to her because she was trying to get his body back because he got killed and turned into a zombie. She was trying to bring him back. She had chainsaws as weapons, and she was in high school fighting these zombies. And it was the most diverse gameplay and unique gameplay and stylized game of the 360 generation. One of the most diverse and stylized games. And he had completely hands on it. And that game failed terribly. It didn't do no numbers. People didn't care about it. Most people that discovered it afterwards were like, oh my God, I really missed out on this game. I don't know how. Yeah, I know how, because you really don't pay attention to things. But you want to call yourselves fans. And he was also involved heavily with Trauma Films and with the people at Twisted Pixel who did Local Cycle, when they were paying homages to the old school style of FMV's games that came out for Sega CD, paying homage with the full motion videos that they did. James Gunn was there in the beginning of the game, the whole game. He was part of that project, and nobody cared about Local Cycle. They were like, "Oh, this game is trash," even though it has other people like the legend himself that does all the makeup work. I forget his name, with the mustache, the Mexican guy. He's a legend. I forget his name, but he's a legend. I mean, he's the reason why you get all those special effects since day one and everything, even in big budget movies. But he started his career in, with the horror movies. I forget his name, but he's amazing talent, right? So, and these people never played Local Cycle, never cared. And now, they're like, oh yeah, we're big James Gunn fans, we love, and they're the first one pushing it. And then the gaming media pushing, the hypocrisy, like I said, of Suicide Squad as well. Oh, he should gain and this and that. Like he already did. You guys didn't support it. It's called Lollipop Chainsaw. And he was involved with Local Cycle. Like I said, I think he was involved with something else, but I can't remember off the top of my head. Either way, I think it was Shadows of the Dam, but I could be wrong. But either way, like I said, the point of this whole thing, what I'm saying is, oh yeah, yes, his name's Tom Savini. I just remembered. Thank you to my lovely secretary next to me, my wife. She reminded me. It's Tom Savini. That's what I'm talking about. The amazing Tom Savini. People that actually had talent, that got their part in the world and in the industry because they had talent and they had to bust their ass and work their way there. Not to get a freebie or flyby because of color or race or gender, which is absolute ludicrousy. And that's why a lot of the stuff we get now is plain out garbage. And a lot of it is terrible because it's forced. It's not natural. It's not actual talent. It's being forced on us. So, I gave the Suicide Squad on HBO Max a 6 if I had to rate it. I'm not a film critic as far as giving it what its value, but that's what I would do as far as to give you guys, the audience, an idea of what I feel the movie really stands at as far as the quality. A 6. Not for lack of acting, not for lack of performances or ideas within the movie. The action's very well done. The violence was a nice welcome, but all the other things that were there just felt off. Like I said, some of the jokes they didn't really hit. They felt like they missed the mark. Some of the weirdness of the movie just didn't feel right. It felt too kiddie-ish in a world that was trying to be very serious in nature with all the violence and the cursing and the tone of the movie as far as the characters. And even though I like that other girl, I think her name was Rat Girl, right? The one that controls the rats. She was a nice character too. She was really nice and awesome. I liked her character too. I wish it was a little more fleshed out, but she was kind of the main heart of the movie and the story rather. But she was a cool character too. So it has some good stuff. Don't get me wrong. But I would, if I had to score it to give it a rating, so people could kind of know where I'm coming from, as far as where I think it fits, I would give it a 6. But it's definitely not a 9. Amazing, incredible, like these people try to make it seem. And again, like I said, they're only doing that because they want the Marvel people to be in the DC world and do things DC the way Marvel does, which I think it works for Marvel and it's great because it's Marvel. It's a completely different animal. For DC, a lot more serious tone, a lot more different. It needs to be what it is. It's in a different tone and a different manner because it's its own thing. And that's the way it should be. So, that's what I wanted to talk about. That's my thoughts on it. Stay tuned, guys. I might be on tonight, if I have the time, around 7:30, 8 o'clock Eastern, to do the We Got Next podcast, the return of We Got Next. I want to talk about, how this gaming industry right now is not trying to call out Sony with all the negativity they're doing and giving them a pass like they're still the #1 leading console based on what they're doing for the audience when it's not even like that, which hasn't been like that since last gen. And they're letting it get away with it. Meanwhile, they crucified Xbox. So, I'll see you guys hopefully there. This is Hebot signing off. Give me a thumbs up if you liked the video, a thumbs down if you didn't. Let me know what you think in the comments below about my thoughts about the movie and about the whole situation. And as always, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. If you subscribe, I really appreciate it because I know you didn't have to, but if you did, I consider you now part of my family. And for all those who continue to give me the support, thank you, because without you guys, my channel will mean nothing. Really big shout outs to Spinny Smith and to Stone King for the wonderful and amazing gifts of Death's Doors. I really appreciate it. These guys are classy and great supporters, and the reason why our channels are even remotely successful in any way. Also, if you guys want to help me out in any way, shape, or form, you know how to do so. It's in the description below with my PayPal and my Patreon information. If you can, if you have the means, and from the kindness of your heart, it's not obligated. Or hit me up on social media on Instagram under C_respect if you want to follow me there, or Twitter, but I'll give out the information on a later date. Or on the Xbox and Switch under Hibade, on PlayStation, Alpha from Sky. If you guys want to showcase anything, you want to make a donation for, you want me to review anything that you have, or that you would like to see me do, I'll be more than honored to do so. Just hit me up on a DM and we'll work out the particulars. This is Hibot signing off, guys. I'll see you soon. This is one of my movie thoughts and reviews. Hope you liked it. See you then. Bye.